My friends, did you feel that? That moment when silence takes over the NFL, and suddenly, the unexpected happens. Once again, the Eagle moved in the shadows, and when nobody saw it coming, Philadelphia made history again. That's how this team operates, with intelligence, courage, and long-term vision. While others wait, they take action. And if you live and breathe green, hit that like button right now, because what's coming today is for those who truly understand what it means to be an Eagle. Now I want to hear from you, die-hard fan. What did you think of this bold move? Was it genius or too risky? Drop your comment down below, because the voice of the fans is the heartbeat of this nation. So buckle up, because today's video will show why nobody plays the game behind the scenes better than Philadelphia. Go Birds! Howie Roseman has done it again. Just when everyone thought the Philadelphia Eagles might stand pat ahead of the trade deadline, the front office pulled the trigger on yet another savvy move that has the fan base buzzing. The Eagles are trading for quarterback Michael Carter II from the New York Jets, sending wide receiver John Mechie and a 2027 sixth-round pick in exchange for Carter and a 2027 seventh-round pick. A simple deal on paper, but one that speaks volumes about what this team values, how it operates, and what it's planning for down the stretch of the season. Let's unpack this, because it's more than just a small roster shuffle. This is classic Howie Roseman. Once again, the Eagles' general manager finds value where others see limitations. Carter, a fifth-round pick out of Duke in 2021, has developed into one of the NFL's more capable slot corners. The Eagles know him well, not only from scouting him before the draft, but also because of the connection with Joe Douglas, the former Jets GM who used to work under Roseman in Philadelphia. That familiarity clearly helped get this deal across the finish line. And what's even more impressive, according to Ian Rappaport, Carter was so eager to join the Eagles that he agreed to delete the $5 million injury guarantee in his 2026 contract year to make the trade happen. That's how badly he wanted to play for the defending Super Bowl champions. When a player is willing to give up guaranteed money to join your organization, that says something about the culture in Philadelphia. Players want to play here. When you have Jeffrey Lurie setting the tone from ownership, Roseman pulling strings in the front office, and Nick Sirianni fostering one of the tightest locker rooms in football, it's not hard to see why. Add defensive coordinator Vic Fangio, one of the brightest minds in the game, and you have a situation where defensive players believe they can elevate their game. For Carter, this is a fresh start and a chance to contribute to a team that's already sitting at 6-2 and looking to repeat as champions. Carter is a pure slot corner. In fact, 85% of his career snaps have come inside, not on the boundary. That's crucial because the Eagles' secondary has been searching for more stability in that area. Cooper Gain has been taking more reps outside this year, and this trade might be a clear signal that the coaching staff is ready to make that move permanent. Picture this trio: Quinn Mitchell on one side, Dean on the other, and Michael Carter locking down the slot. Suddenly, the secondary looks deeper, faster, and more versatile. At 5 feet 10 inches and 184 pounds with a blazing 4.36 40-yard dash, Carter brings elite quickness and recovery speed, exactly what you want when matching up against twitchy slot receivers. He's also got solid instincts and awareness, traits that can't be taught. Over his career, he's accumulated 65 games and 25 starts, with consistent production in pass breakups, 5 in 2021, 9 in 2022, 9 again in 2023, and 2 already this year despite some injury setbacks. His ability to read routes and jump throws has been one of his strengths, even as the Jets' defense went through major schematic changes this season under Aaron Glenn. It's worth noting that Carter's 2024 campaign has been a bit rocky statistically, a 43.0 defensive grade from PFF and 37.6 in coverage, but context matters. The Jets are adjusting to an entirely new defensive system, and Carter has battled through a concussion that sidelined him earlier this year. For the Eagles, this is a buy low opportunity with high upside. A motivated, healthy Carter in a familiar style defense under Fangio could look a lot closer to the player who was once considered one of the most underrated nickel corners in the AFC. Meanwhile, the Eagles give up John Mechie, a talented but underutilized receiver who just couldn't find a role in a stacked offense. When you have A.J. Brown, DeVonta Smith, and Dallas Goedert all demanding targets, plus a backfield now featuring Saquon Barkley, opportunities are scarce. Mechie has just 4 catches for 18 yards this season, and while he still has potential, the Eagles had the luxury to move him. Darius Cooper's emergence has only made that decision easier. So this was a classic case of dealing from a position of strength to fill a need, something Roseman has mastered throughout his tenure. Another layer to this deal is Carter's contract. The Eagles are not just trading for a short-term rental. Carter is under contract through 2027 on a reasonable deal. That gives Philadelphia stability and flexibility at one of the hardest positions to fill. Fangio said recently, "It's easier to find a slot corner than an outside guy, but in the Eagles' scheme, versatility is key. If Dean's transition outside continues, Carter provides insurance and depth inside, where the team hasn't had many options behind him." Perry Nickerson was cut and re-signed to the practice squad. Adoree Jackson and Khalil Ringo aren't natural slot corners, and attempts to plug M. McWilliams inside didn't stick. So, not only is this move logical, it's almost necessary. The Eagles' defense thrives when it can disguise coverage, move players around, and bring pressure from multiple looks. A slot corner like Carter gives Fangio the flexibility to blitz from the nickel, disguise safeties, and keep offenses guessing. And Carter's ability to tackle in space and support against the run makes him an ideal fit for what the Eagles want to do defensively. Let's be clear, this is not just a depth move. This is about strengthening one of the few areas that didn't have much proven depth while preparing for the grueling second half of the season. Injuries happen. The playoffs are won with versatility and experience. And now, Philadelphia adds both with Carter. And you have to wonder, is Howie done? Because as we've seen before, when Roseman starts making calls around deadline week, one move often leads to another. The Eagles still have draft capital to burn, 3 third-rounders, a 4th, a couple of 5ths, and expected compensatory picks coming their way. Carter's acquisition might be just the beginning of another classic Howie Roseman stretch run of roster building. When you look at Howie Roseman's track record, you realize he rarely makes a move without seeing the next few chess pieces in motion. The trade for Michael Carter might seem like a fine-tuning adjustment, but in Philadelphia, there's no such thing as a meaningless transaction. This front office thinks in layers. This deal strengthens the secondary now, creates depth for the playoffs, and opens flexibility for a bigger move down the line, maybe even before the trade deadline hits. If we're being honest, this team didn't need to make a move. They're sitting at 6-2, the defense has been tightening up week by week, and Vic Fangio has finally found a rhythm with the personnel he's got. But that's the exact mindset that separates good teams from great ones. The Eagles refused to get comfortable. They saw an opportunity to add experience and competition at a critical position, and they acted. That's the culture here. It's aggressive, it's proactive, it's championship caliber. Now, let's dive a little deeper into Carter's fit, because that's where things get really interesting. Fangio's defense is built around versatility and discipline. It relies heavily on pre-snap disguise, showing one look, shifting post-snap, confusing quarterbacks into throwing into tight windows. To run that effectively, you need smart, instinctive players who can read both the quarterback and the receiver mid-route. Carter fits that mold perfectly. His ability to diagnose plays, jump routes, and read eyes is what made him valuable in New York even when the team struggled. And remember, this isn't a player coming out of nowhere. This is a guy who's logged over 2,000 career snaps primarily in the slot, who's already seen and adjusted to some of the league's best route runners. His willingness to give up $5 million guaranteed to come to Philadelphia also tells you what kind of mentality he's bringing. That's commitment. That's belief. When a player sacrifices that kind of money just to be part of your locker room, it says a lot about how your organization is viewed. The Eagles aren't just a team right now, they're a destination. And let's talk about the ripple effect this could have on Cooper Dean. The staff has been easing him outside more this year, and this move feels like the green light to make that transition permanent. Fangio even hinted at it publicly, saying it's something we've talked about. Moving Dean outside not only gives him a chance to become one of the premier boundary corners in football, but also allows Carter to take over the slot full-time, where he's at his most natural. It's about maximizing both players, and that's exactly what good coaching staffs do. Dean has proven he can handle top competition. Remember that game against Justin Jefferson? He held his own against one of the best route technicians in the league. That performance gave the coaching staff confidence that he can survive and thrive on the perimeter. Now, with Carter inside, Fangio can trust both spots while mixing in Quinn Mitchell on the other boundary. That trio has the potential to be one of the more balanced, dynamic cornerback groups in the NFC. But this trade isn't just about the secondary. It's about roster strategy. With Messi gone, the Eagles free up a bit more flexibility in their offensive rotation. And it's important to remember, they didn't give up much. A late-round pick swap in 2027 and a player who wasn't seeing the field. That's the kind of low-risk, high-reward deal that Roseman thrives on. You turn a non-impact player and a distant pick into a starting-caliber defensive back under contract for 3 more years. That's how great front offices stay great, by always keeping the future in mind while improving the present. There's another layer to this, 2. Locker room chemistry. By all accounts, Carter is well-liked, respected, and brings a work-first mindset. The Eagles' locker room is a place where that kind of energy thrives. Guys like Fletcher Cox, Brandon Graham, and Jalen Hurts set a tone. It's not just about talent, it's about accountability. Carter's willingness to take less money just to be a part of this team shows he's already aligned with that mentality. Statistically, yes, Carter's recent grades from PFF don't jump off the page. 43.0 overall, 37.6 in coverage, but those numbers don't always tell the whole story. New system, new responsibilities, inconsistent usage. That's a recipe for regression in any player's metrics. But when he was allowed to play freely in the slot, when he was trusted to read and react, his production spoke for itself. 9 pass breakups in back-to-back seasons, solid tackling numbers, and the ability to neutralize slot-heavy offenses. And that's exactly what the Eagles need heading into the toughest stretch of the season. Because make no mistake, this schedule is about to test every part of this roster. Playoff-caliber teams on deck, offenses that love to spread you out and attack your depth. With Carter, the Eagles now have someone who can take away the quick-game weapon that so many teams rely on against them. And as Fangio continues to tweak his pressure packages, having a reliable slot corner who can blitz or drop into coverage interchangeably is a major asset. Roseman's also quietly setting the table for potential future moves. By handling this trade with just a minor pick swap and no major financial impact, he's preserved his draft capital for something bigger, maybe a pass rusher, maybe depth on the offensive line, or maybe another veteran piece for the postseason push. Remember, this is the same front office that added Ndamukong Suh and Linval Joseph midseason in 2022 and saw both make an impact in the playoffs. Don't be surprised if history repeats itself. So, when you zoom out, this isn't just about Michael Carter. It's about the message. The Eagles are all in. Every single move screams it. They're not coasting off last year's success. They're hunting. They're sharpening every edge before the games get bigger, the hits get harder, and the stakes skyrocket. And that brings it back to you, the fans. You've seen the